All right, what's going on, everybody? Jordan here with Real Beauty Bosses. Today, I've got the lovely Chemo Bentley in the house. Whoop, whoop. What's going on, Chemo? How are you?
Doing really, really well. It's Money Making Monday, so we know what that is.
Money Making Monday. I love that. I'm super excited you're here. You and I have done some back and forth multiple times. We've been working together for how many years now? We've been connected. It's been quite a few.
19, 20, 21, about 4. It's been about 4 years
Almost
already.
4 years. Dang.
Yeah.
Time flies, huh? So
Yep.
I'm super happy you are here, especially. We've been doing these interviews every single week, kind of documenting and sharing what's working in the industry. And I know you have a wealth of knowledge to share. So today we're going to be talking about how you took your business from when we first met, at least $8,000 a month to $25,000 a month plus. Your best number to date is $38,000 in a single month. And for those that don't know, would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you're here, what services you offer, of course, as well?
Sure. My name is Chemo Bentley. I'm the owner and founder of Chemo Bentley Aesthetic Clinic and Med Spa, and also Chemo Bentley Beauty School. I am into aesthetics, which simply means that we're beautifying hair, skin, nails, specifically anti-aging treatments, acne treatments, and anything to beautify a person on the whole.
I love it. So, and you've been in the industry for, you just told me before we started, 23 plus years in the industry specifically, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Love it. Well, if you don't mind sharing, we got a ton that I've got on deck to share. First and foremost, we're going to talk about how Chemo has gone through just step by step from zero to her first $10,000 a month to first $25,000 a month. She's now looking to push for the $50,000 per month mark. Right now, the highest number to date is $38,000. And you've been in your current location for 4+ years. It's an amazing location. You can maybe share in the group after a little. I know you've shared that many times, but a little tour of your spot or whatnot. But we've got a ton of stuff we're going to be sharing with you guys today. So when you guys are here, type of hashtag live or hashtag replay. Let us know who you are, what you do, what services you offer. And if you have any goals that you are looking to accomplish, like 10K a month, 25, 50, 100, you can drop that number down below in the chat. Chemo and I are going to dive deep, starting with just, maybe we can start, Chemo, just talking a little bit about your journey, kind of stepping into the industry, what made you want to get started and why. And then we can just kind of walk through, like, leading up to now, like what have you learned? What would you tell your former self, 5 to 10 plus years ago or 23 years ago before you got into the industry? And let's just dive into it. So walk me through, why did you get started in the industry in the first place, Chemo?
So my daughter had eczema as a baby many, many years ago. I cleared her skin. She is now in her 20s and she is eczema free. That pretty much catapulted me into this industry on understanding skincare, only because when I went to the doctor, I was hurried out of the office just with a prescription in hand. He didn't even talk to me for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. He just looked at my child. Oh, you have eczema. Here's the prescription. Bye-bye. And I was not satisfied with that. So I ended up creating and developing a product, a natural product to clear her eczema. And from then I started to become interested in skincare and how it works, and natural versus botanicals versus other products or alternatives. And from there, I just fell in love with understanding how to treat skin of color, but all skin types. I love connecting with customers. So that was one of my most favorite things in this industry so far, is just understanding that people need to be heard. That was actually something that Katie said that was very critical on the call this morning, that people want to be heard. They don't want to be hurried out of an office. And that is literally what makes for a complete, perfect experience.
I love that. So this industry obviously has a lot of like meaning and passion to you. And how old were you 23 years ago, if you don't mind sharing? Like,
oh my God, I'm 46 now. So do the math, Jay.
So you were a young one then, young and hungry, getting started. That's awesome. And
not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah. Did you start, like, as far as services go, did you start working for someone else first? Like, have you like made the full transition since the beginning to like be self-employed and work for yourself? Or what did the transition look like to becoming a boss or business owner you are today?
So believe it or not, I worked for Bosley Medical for many, many years doing hair transplants for celebrities and some other people that came in. And I did not find the passion there with the aesthetics licensure that I had. I just felt empty. And I wanted to do more in terms of changing people's lives. So I went back and I started doing offsite trainings on specializing in skin a little bit more, just not the standard book work, but like chemical peels, laser hair removal, all the fun stuff. And that's where I said, you know what, this is where I need to be. At that particular moment, I retired from Bosley Medical Center and I started working with a plastic surgeon in Harlem, just being her understudy, not getting paid a lot of money, but just being there for the knowledge of being a Black woman, being a woman that's in this industry that really doesn't have a clear and concise path. And I worked for her for, I would say, about 4 or 5 years. And I always had facials on the back end. Like I would always do like treatments at my home. So I knew that this was something that I definitely wanted to do on my own, but funding and money has always been like one of the things that would hold me back from going into what I really wanted to do. And one day I just said, you know what, I am going to take the leap and go into this full time. I failed. I definitely failed. It wasn't like a super great story. I failed. I wasn't making any money. And I went back and I started working for a couple other physicians in the New York City metro area. After gaining more experience and skills and watching them run their businesses, I started taking notes of what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I took a jab at it again. And I kept my full-time job as an esthetician working as a laser hair removal technician. But in the afternoons between 6 and 8, I would still see my customers. At that point, I started feeling a little bit more confident. And I said, maybe I can try this one more time. And I met Darren a few years ago and we moved out to Maryland.
Yeah.
That was another leap of faith. And I decided to work full time for myself after trying again with another doctor and not being so successful because I felt like I was being pulled apart, working an 8-hour day shift and then going into my salon suite at nighttime.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I've had it. Let me take the leap. And by taking that leap, I just said to myself, if I can just get one client a day to book, I would believe a little bit more in what I was doing. And still, again, didn't know RBB, didn't know anything. I just started networking the traditional way, going to events, going to different types of parties, and just getting the name of my business out there. Met up with an influencer who was pretty big in this area. She's been casted on Bad Girls Club quite a few times.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I'm going to clear your skin. There's no obligation. All I want for you to do is to post my pictures of the before and after. Are you okay with that? That was one of the most prolific moments in my entire career because that catapulted me from 0 to 1,000.
Wow.
And I was not expecting that. I had many, many appointments after that. I'm talking about like I had maybe about 10 or 15 appointments a day. People just kept coming in for many, many years. And that's what built my confidence in knowing that I can actually work for myself.
Did you offer to work for that particular influencer or client for free up front or just in exchange for like, how did you reach out? Because that's a huge, huge gold nugget for anyone who may be watching right now. Like to get you, was the business like, I mean, where was the business at that point? Fresh, brand new?
Nobody knew who I was, Jordan. Nobody knew who I was. Remember, coming from New York. Yep, coming from New York, people did not know me out here. So I would do some pop-up shops here and there just to get the Chemo Bentley name out. And I did a pop-up shop at one of Darren's friends' facility. And she was there and she just came over to the table and we just organically started talking. She expressed some concerns about her skin, going to many different doctors all over the country, not getting what she needed. And I said, okay, I can do it. She looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, no, I'm 100% sure I can clear your skin. The only thing that I ask is if you can
Yeah,
direct customers to my business. That's all I said to her. And I'm thankful
that's
that she
awesome.
trusted me with that experience. And we did an entire journey from the ugly days with the peeling and the
Yeah.
breakouts and everything else, all the way into present day where she's still clear. She still talks about her journey, her business. She's been very transparent with who and what we did in terms of clearing her skin. And I really felt like being connected with that particular person in that particular time definitely was the game changer for me.
That's amazing. Let's pick up actually right there. That's like the perfect segue because we got into this industry maybe a little unexpectedly. Was it ever a big vision and mission for you as a little girl to be doing what you're doing now, or is this kind of where life kind of took you?
I always wanted to do something to serve people, but I
Yeah,
just didn't know what,
yeah,
if that
that's
makes
amazing.
sense.
That makes perfect sense. And so this ended up being that path where you were able to serve people and you saw, the results that come from the skincare that you were providing and offering, and you started your own business. When did you start the business, your first business?
The skincare business started around 2003, 2004. That's when I made the oatmeal bar.
Okay. So this is about 20 years ago. So 3 years in, now we're actually starting our own business and we're taking it off the ground. You said no one knows who I am. If you guys have ever felt that way before, let us know down below in the chat. Type me, throw some hearts chemo's way as well. Um, that's where most people start. It's like, no one knows who I am. I'm trying to get this business off the ground. Unfortunately, some people stay stuck there. And you've seen it. I've seen it. We've all seen it, right? Like, that's usually the number one differentiator from people who are doing 0 to 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000 a month plus. Is step one is I've got to get people knowing who the heck I am, right? So I want to dissect that a little bit because I assume that it sounds like this was the segue to you maybe getting to your first like 10K per month. Like, did this give you a good wave to ride from there?
Yes, it did. I don't think I got quite to 10K. I think I might have been short like by $500 or something like that.
A pretty
That
neat clip.
first month with seven. Um, Things that I wished, I can't wait for you to ask me about that. I wish I did have this program in place because I wasn't diverse in following up. I didn't know how to connect with people organically. Like a lot of people would call me and I would literally tell them, oh, you can book on the website. Just not knowing, just not having the knowledge to
Yeah,
connect a little bit more organically. I literally pushed a lot of people away by just telling them, hey, this is my link, just click on the link and
yeah,
book an appointment. That's a no-no. And I can't say enough, treat everyone like they're a human being. And you have to talk to people. Even after we go on Fox, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit later,
yeah.
I
I'm in
reach
there.
out to every single person and I tell them, I'm like, thank you for following me. What made you reach out?
I'm still here.
No, it's okay. We do a lot of that. Thanks for reaching out. Thanks for the follow. And that makes a difference with people coming in. And I think that that's what was the game changer for me. Besides Seven, talking about the services,
Yeah,
I needed to be the one that was now reciprocating and telling people what's the next step, in other words.
100%. Well, I really want to talk through, for those that are just hopping on now, type of hashtag live or hashtag replay. Let us know what services you offer. And I'd love to know what goal you're shooting for right now. Is it 10K per month, 25K, 50K, 100K per month? Let us know down below in the comments. What we're going to talk about right now with Chemo, because she gave us a really awesome breakdown of like her introduction to the industry, her story leading up to kind of first starting with her first business in 2003, 2004. And she just shared some stuff about she took that off the ground. I want to dissect that a little bit. But I do want to talk about Chemo as we go through this. The way I love to kind of do these breakdowns is let's talk about from 0 to 10K. And again, you coaching your former Chemo self back in 2003, 2004, like what would you share for yourself that you would recommend doing and maybe even do differently after we understand what you kind of actually did first? and we'll go through each stage. Like from 0 to 10, here's the things I did. From 10 to 25, here's the things I did. From 25 to my best month ever, here's the things we did. And we'll break that down. And then from the rest of today, we'll talk about best recommendations for getting clients. I know you're crushing it right now with packages.
Yes.
Also, you have a strategy that I think we could do a whole class on here very soon this year on PR, branding, getting TV spots, like stuff like that. That is a huge thing we'll dive in today. You just kind of briefly mentioned it. And then I would love to just hear like your plans to kind of expand what we are calling the Chemo Bentley Empire over there. With your product line, your location. Like I know you have a lot of
location. The school should be ready in about 8 weeks. Don't forget that.
The school, yes. So we'll talk about all those things. So if there's any questions you have for Chemo, who is her best month ever, $38,000 in a single month. Just in the past couple years, she took the business from 0 to 10K and then 10K to 25K and beyond. If there's any questions you guys want to ask, I can see your comments. I'm going to be sharing them with Chemo. We're going to be answering them here as well. But let's dive deep and let's maximize the time we've got here, Chemo. So the things that I heard from you when we took this business basically off the ground, let's just say from 0 to the first 10K. The first is identifying that my biggest problem is no one knows who the heck I am. I've got to get myself out there, right? So step one, you said networking was huge. I got myself out there every way that I could. What all were the things that you did to like go from no one knowing Chemo to like getting yourself out there so people could know Chemo?
As a small business owner, with you not having a PR team and you're your own PR, you have to strategically be in certain places. I would definitely say the Chamber of Commerce was one of the biggest things. Talk to people, talk to friends, family, neighbors. If there's any vending opportunities locally, those are where the big opportunities actually happen. And I'll tell you a quick story. One of my biggest opportunities came out of a vending slot that I did. And I think I paid probably about $60 and I ended up on Bethany Frankel TV show quite a few years back, just off of talking to someone who knew someone that would be interested in my product line. And that was huge. So you have to get used to being uncomfortable in places that regular people are comfortable. Like I'm still scared to be on live TV. I'm still afraid to do interviews. And those are my uncomfortable moments. I'm scared right now. But
I love that you mentioned that because we just had a conversation on it on a call right before this, that like me and Katie, like if you met us 10 years ago when we first got started on this journey, like we were super shy, had trouble making eye contact, heart would beat out of our chest any event we would go to. Speaking in public would literally give me the biggest anxiety ever. And it's still get nerves to this day. It's a little bit better because we put in the repetitions like every day, so it's a little less, scary. But anytime you do something new, it's going to be nerve-wracking. You're going to have that feeling and that, the butterflies in the stomach, whatever you want to mention. And I think like it's important to like give yourself grace if you're watching this right now and you're struggling with confidence, that like, in my opinion, those things are never going to go away, but they can become easier the more repetitions you put in. What would you recommend? Because that's one of my bullets is like your confidence is like exuding through the screen right now. And in every interaction with you, like you just have the $1 million smile, $1 million attitude, and like you light up every room that you're in. Was that something that you have always had? Is that something you feel like you've developed over the years? And maybe what would you recommend to someone who's maybe more of like, Chemo's way more extroverted than I am. Like I'm more introverted, I'm more quiet. I don't know if I could do the same thing she does. What would you advise or recommend?
I would definitely say dig deep inside for what's that thing that makes you hungry, because the hunger to serve people is what you get.
Yeah.
I really want to help my community. I really want to serve people. I really, really want people to get what we're delivering today. And yes, I'm bringing all the smoke because you guys have allowed me to be in places that I would have never imagined. So I want that for the next person. I really want that. And it's possible. I didn't like to post, Jordan, and all of this stuff. My first post, we knew how that went. back in the day. I took a long time for me to post, and I did the organic. I ended up mastering that, but I had to be put in that uncomfortable position in order for me to get to where I am today. So even if it's once a day, put yourself in that uncomfortable situation or position. Even if it's talking to a stranger, you just never know where that would take your business. See where it took me. It took me to national syndicated TV many times over by just talking to people, reaching out, being the first person to say hello.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say that that's one of the things that you would do. I even go to the supermarket now when I'm flexing my muscles, and I'm like, "Hey, how are you? Nice shoes." And Darren's turning around like, "Oh, you're putting on the chemo, the RBB chemo," as he says.
I love that.
That's how I practice. I practice on strangers, just opening conversations. I use a lot of things that you've taught me in terms of wanting to dive deeper and actually getting to know someone, just not looking at their face with a dollar sign. And it makes things much easier for them to trust you, for them to refer their friends and family, for them to open up to you.
I love that. I'm going to drop this in the comments. Everyone, if you can drop this as well, would love to do so. Selling is serving, right? Like the more you really genuinely care about like serving people, helping people, like wanting to solve problems for people, or just help them be the best versions of themselves and whatever it is that you provide. Again, if whatever service you provide, drop that down below in the chat so we can cater this to you. But whether you're doing, eyelash extensions, waxing, you're doing permanent makeup, I see someone in the comments, you're an esthetician helping people with their skincare, the more passionate you are about like wanting to give and serve, like that, in my experience, just as much as well, has helped me get through all of the obstacles and things that I've had to overcome that, are insecurities once, if I've never done them before, but then become natural talents because you've overcome that with the desire and want to serve, and you put in the reps and the reps and the reps over and over again to where it becomes natural. And it sounds like that's been a similar state for you as well. It's like, you even mentioned like there's days I get nervous. I'm sure like you didn't wake up out of the womb with this confidence, quote unquote, right? There was a strong enough why, a strong enough need, and you've practiced that act and put in those reps again and again and again. So I love that. So 0 to 10K, I've got like networking, working on building your confidence sounds like a huge piece of the puzzle. Like getting out of your comfort zone, doing those things that normally you wouldn't do, and putting in those reps to get to know people, having conversations, initiating conversations, like even if it's out in everyday public, like, just complimenting people, starting those conversations. Because I want to talk about your kind of influencer connection strategy, how that all kind of worked out, which you said really took you off. But for networking specifically, what would you advise or recommend to someone who maybe is just like trying to get themselves out there, but they just don't know like what to do, how to do it, what to say, how to say it? Like, what would you recommend to your former self to like start networking and do it effectively and efficiently?
I know every single person on this call has an influencer, even if it's a local influencer, in their newsfeed. Shoot your shot. I would definitely say shoot your shot and introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Chemo, and I'm the owner of Chemo Bentley Skincare Clinic and Med Spa. And I'd love to chat with you one day about the services I offer, hoping that we'll collaborate in some sort of way together. Boom, that's it. Send it, hit send. That's the simplest way that you can do it. You'll get one of two answers, yes, or you can get no. If you get no, you move to the next person. Everyone is following their local celebrities or people who are influencers in their town. Link in with these people, and they're more apt to help local businesses if you come in a certain way. Come organically, not trying to be salesy or cold, very warm and engaging. Get to know them, get to know what they like. That's literally how I do it up till this day. That's how I do it. We just finished up a partnership with Ferrari. We had our gift bags there. They're bringing us back on to do more events with them. Jordan, like that's huge.
That's pretty big.
That's huge. We're private labeling a product for them right now. We just did another partnership with Bentley, getting a bunch of students out there to talk about entrepreneurship. So it's all about talking to people, being in the right rooms, going to these events. Even if you're tired, I'm not always like in the mood to like go out after an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day, but I always think about it just takes one person to take me to that next level. And that's what gives me that energy to go out and do what I have to do. And even if you don't want to go out, you can go through your social media and start following your local. The local has been very big for us. That's how we were able to get on that did the cameo for that reality TV show. They reached out to us because they see us a lot on the news and everything else. Hey, would you guys like a cameo in this film? And that's how that happened. We said yes. And more influencers started coming. Like we have quite a few now local celebrities that come in here for service, because that's what we offer, service and experience. And we don't pay them, which is nice. Yeah. And I've offered, hey, I can pay you. And they're like, no, that's okay. You've changed my life. Those are the words you want to hear. Hey, you've changed my life. What do I have to do to get your business in, other people's hands? So that's literally how it works.
Yeah, the law of reciprocity is what kicks in when you provide value first, right? A lot of us are sometimes looking for all this value in return. We're looking to get paid. We're looking to get clients. We're thinking about me, but we're not putting our focus outward in terms of serving other people first, right? And every person, even last week, we talked to one of our estheticians, Felicia, who has hit, she started at like 2,000 to 3,000 a month, hitting 50,000 a month plus. She said, like, for her, it was kind of the same scenario. I started out like doing model calls, getting out, offering to work for people for free in exchange for either a testimonial or a referral. And that's what got me like my first people in the door. They started coming back after that. And then I started building relationships, and confidence came from that ability to serve people. And you're mentioning the same thing. Like you just got to like get your magical hands on people before like you can expect value to come back your way in the universe, right? Like you got to give, put out enough value out there, and it'll return tenfold, sometimes 100,000 fold, if done often and correctly enough. So I love that. So we talked a lot about confidence. We talked about networking locally and through like connecting with potential like influencers and stuff in your area. Is there a particular like strategy that you'd recommend as far as just like starting with the basics of networking, like getting out in your area, finding conventions or events? Like what strategy did you use, and what would maybe you recommend if like I need to get myself out there starting as soon as this week?
The local groups, Jordan, the local groups have done a whole lot for me in terms of getting me privy to a lot of these events. Join as many local groups as possible. If you have local business related groups, that's where a lot of the networking things are. Besides Chamber of Commerce, a lot of local business related groups, they'll post flyers for different events. You can also in those particular local groups post, hey, are there any events coming up for, and then you can say for estheticians, or are there any events or vendorship coming up for, and you put in whatever your skill is in that, and people respond because people want people at their events. Even if you have to say, hey, I can give you 40 samples, it's not going to cost a whole lot. I mean, take your cheapest item that's not going to cost you a whole lot and say, hey, I can give this in the gift bags. Most of the times I do that. And look, for instance, like the one that we did for Ferrari, I was going to gift them the product and they ended up paying me for the product. I wasn't expecting that, but they're like, hey, we want to pay you for that. So it's those little things that if you can get your business front and center, if you have little cards, but they want to see a person, just don't send a card and then you leave. Talk to people. Like I would always send a package with all of my samples and never be the face. I was always so shy. I never wanted to be the face. I wanted to pay a model to be the face. But now you'll see me everywhere. Yeah, because I understand
the name is you, brand is you. Yeah.
But the power of organic and them seeing a real person behind a brand makes a huge difference. Like, oh my gosh, you're the owner? Like, I still pick up the phone and people are like, who am I talking to? And I'm like, hey, I'm the owner. Nice to talk to you.
Oh, wow.
They book right away. They're shocked.
Yeah.
So it's those little things that really make a difference with people wanting to know more about your business, wanting to come in. It's that simple.
I love that. And when you say local groups, you're referring to like local Facebook groups, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's a huge strategy, as well as like you're also going to local events, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what types of events have been the most effective for you, like throughout your career?
I would like to say the business related events where you have to do the cheesy exchange cards. I don't do cards, so I do product, like little sample product. So I will exchange
Are
product.
these like chamber events, business networking events?
It's more business networking. It's not so much chamber. It's more business networking where you have a couple of people who are, for instance, doing like a local mastermind on how to get to the next 10K for the next year, stuff like that. People are always looking for help, looking for information and insight. So once you Google those type of events, it makes a difference. Like small business meetups. That's a very popular one that you can Google. Small business meetups, small business networking. Like those are the type of groups that you want to get linked into.
I love that. So local groups, local events. We're also influencer connections is a big one that's worked for you. So how do you go about like those types of connections? And we'll chunk down each one of these as well. By the way, if you guys, I'll just share this now so we don't forget. So me and Kimo talked before this. We're more than likely going to be putting together a masterclass or a workshop or behind the scenes together of like exactly what she does for each of these strategies. So how is she using local groups and communities? How is she attending at these local events? And what is she saying? How is she saying it? How is she converting and creating depth to the relationships that she has to translate to more appointments? How is she reaching out to influencers? How is she getting on TV? If you guys want to get access to kind of like the behind the scenes stuff with Kimo, just type #Kimo and we'll send you an invitation to that. And we'll also give you guys the replay to this, and we'll work on putting together a little cheat sheet based on all the gold nuggets and bombs that Kimo's dropping on us right now. But 0 to 10K, I'm hearing local groups, local events, influencer connections, and just meeting people, getting myself out there, providing value in exchange for nothing more than just to get those butts and seats in and try to help people. Like that sounds like kind of the gist. And it's all based off like connecting with people, right? Correct. We're not focused on a website like logo branding or like, you know, hoping and praying clients are going to come in. We're like getting ourselves out there and building relationships, making connections and controlling that. So on the influencer note, what is the like, how would you go about doing that if you're starting from scratch right now? Like, let's say I don't have a following, I don't have a network, like I just popped to a new area, I don't know anybody. How would you start potentially getting connected with like local influencers or high status individuals that could really make a big impact and difference?
So do a little bit of research and find out who's popping in your area, find out who's the movers and shakers. That's how I did my temperature check in the DMV area, just finding out who is doing what, who are the movers, the shakers, the people that are actually out there, who has a great following. And one thing that I must share with you too, in regards to that, the influencer type of endorsements that we've had, you also have to look at their pages, because every single influencer does not have a following that leads to sales. Some of the influencers that I've found out through my experience, they may have a large following, but no one really, they're not able to transition people into purchasing anything. So when you're looking for that influencer, look at if they have any other partnerships or endorsements and see how they're doing with that. And then you can gauge it. So that young lady from Bad Girls Club, for instance, if she says to hop on one leg, people hop on one leg. So I gave her the gift of clear skin. And because I did that, a lot of people came in and they're like, I saw what you did for 7 Skin. So
Yeah.
can you do that for me? And I literally went into asking them, like, how long have you been suffering with this? And yes, we can. The only thing that I would ask for you to do is repost me and tag me. So even more people started seeing the changes in their skin on their journey. And it kind of like ended up like a plague.
Yeah.
Everyone was tagging everyone that was tagging everyone. And more influencers started coming my way because they saw what I did for that particular person. And even like, let's say I gave her the honey acne bar a few months ago. And I told her, I'm like, could you post this on your page and tell them the benefits, what it has done for you? It's sold out like in 5 minutes.
That's
So
awesome.
those are the type of influencers that you want. And the way you find them is based on their other endorsements. Look at what that looks like and look at what their numbers look like how many people in the comments are like saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then you can always reach out to them.
Yeah.
Some people, some influencers, they're transparent enough. If they want to work with you, they'll send you some metrics. Like, get technical and say, hey, I'd love to see your metrics in terms of transitioning for sales. Can I see a template of what you've done or how many units you've sold for this particular product you're endorsing? Especially if you're a small business and you mean business and you come correctly, they will share that information because they are looking to be the one to blow a small business up. So they're going to work twice as hard for you if you start off like that, asking them for their endorsements and metrics and all of that in exchange for that type of partnership.
I love that. If you guys want to learn how to find, like, engage, start conversations with influencers and also like translate that into like monetary, like butts and seats, clients in the door, type influencers down below in the chat. I want to get a gauge on how many people would be interested in like diving much deeper on just this topic. Like, we could do like a full behind the scenes class of everything that you're doing, but I think like just doing a class like on influencer marketing would be something huge in itself. I also, bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
I also think that that and the PR branding side are two big things that I think like a lot of people just like maybe have never even thought about or just don't know the right way to get started with it. So what I'm hearing from
we
you,
booked 22 new appointments from our segment on Fox 2 weeks ago. 22 new appointments last week.
I love that. 22 from being on Fox. Just,
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay, so let's focus on those two things a little bit. So, because you mentioned the local Facebook groups, local events, and the meetups. You mentioned how we can kind of talk to people, get engaged there, and we can dive deeper into that. But the influencer part is something we haven't talked about recently on these interviews that I'd like to dive deeper into. So, step one is finding the influencer or a list of influencers. And step two is starting a conversation with them and engaging with them, providing kind of value or an introduction. So for those two things, first off, let's start with like, what do you say? Like, let's say I find the perfect influencer, which we'll talk about. Like, what is that outreach message, or like, what do you usually say to start the conversation?
Hey, my name is Chemo, and I'm just reaching out to you to say hello. I use our scripting right now. I'm reaching out to you to say hello. I just wanted to introduce myself to you. I'm a small business owner that may be interested in partnering with you, and just leave it open-ended like that. Wait for a few minutes. If they answer, if they don't, then go back and say, hey, I'm just popping this at the top of your inbox. I would love to be in conversation with you in regards to a great partnership that would be beneficial to the both of us. Once you say those lines, partnership, beneficial, that usually keys them in and they will respond. And once they respond, you're not just going to go right into, okay, this is what I want you to do for me. When they respond, you're going to continue to add value. Ask them about their skin. Ask them about their daily routine. Hey, how long have you been struggling with A, B, C, and D? Once you open them up like that and start asking them questions about themselves, it makes it easier for them wanting to know more about your business.
Yeah.
And after you establish that, you can either have them, well, I usually have people FaceTime me, or I FaceTime them, or I do the Facebook video, or they come in. It's super simple. I don't do a whole long, lengthy back and forth conversation. I get them on the phone as soon as possible or FaceTime. and we just have that organic conversation. Sometimes it's not even like business related, like right away. It's like, oh my gosh, how long have you been doing that? I see
Right.
that you're doing this. I just love that. Just find some type of connection with them, something that you guys may have in common to soften what you're getting ready to deliver. It makes it so much easier as opposed to if you just go right into, hey, I want you to be a brand for my business, and
Right.
here's what I want you to do, but not giving them the value that we are talking about.
That makes sense. If y'all in Chemo, would you be open to maybe sharing an example of one of the scripts you've used for influencer outreach? Just something
Yeah.
that's worked well for you. If you guys want to see that, what that looks like, type hashtag scripts down below. Me and Chemo can pull that together. But I love that. It's just like not overcomplicated, just a simple introduction. Like we'll drop the script down below for anyone who taps hashtag script. So you mentioned kind of some things along finding these potential influencers. Like what if you knew nothing, starting from scratch, what would the steps you'd be taking to like get your first ideal influencers to reach out to?
The very first steps, I mean, I'm a talker now, so I would definitely reach out and say, hey, how are you? I love your page. If you're doing it not in person, hey, I love your page. I love what you're doing. And then tell them a little bit about yourself. Go back to the page and say, hey, I noticed that you do this, and that. Like it's very organic. It's what you would say to someone that you want to be friends with. I know as an adult, it's hard to make new friends, but it's kind of like the same strategies now that I used to make friends. Just find out things that you have in common with a person before asking them to do something. Find out where you can be of service to them first before asking them for something in return.
Love that. So you're basically just like introducing yourself or opening up the conversation with something simple like, hey, Chemo, like, so nice to meet you. I've been seeing your posts and work or whatever, and absolutely love blah, blah, blah. The more specific I'm sure you could be, the better. So it shows that you actually genuinely care about them, so complimenting them. So opener or intro, compliment them, and then just ask, you know, if they'd be open to you helping them or coming in for a visit sometime or having a look at their skin, like focusing on value first is what I'm hearing, right?
Correct.
I love that. I think that's great. I mean, anyone could go out and do this right now. I think the biggest obstacle that holds most people back is, again, the confidence factor of like, you know, most business owners, the only thing I find holding most people back is like our own doubts, insecurities, or belief in ourselves or what we're doing. And like, we know we should be networking. We know we should be getting connected in our area through groups or connections, meetups, things like that. We know we should probably get connected with people of high influence and status in our community because, like you just said, it takes one. I typed that in the chat earlier too, to blow up your business. Like if they say something good about you to their audience of even hundreds, if not thousands of people, you don't need people with tens of millions of followers. You need these, you know, just enough people to get you some good traction. Like that can transform your business overnight. And we know we need to do these things. So Chemo, what do you think holds most people back from like starting that?
It's the fear. I told you I was very uncomfortable in the beginning with talking to someone first. Like I would never be the one. Darren was the one who would always talk to people first. But for myself, I would never compliment someone or say hi or how are you. And once I began putting myself in those uncomfortable positions and saying, oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. What do you do? Now it becomes easy. And I practice that on a daily basis. Even today, I practiced that. I just went to the store like maybe an hour ago when I complimented a lady and she came in and she's like, what do you do here? She booked an appointment for a facial. And I literally just casually spoke to her in the store. So that one person that you're literally like opening up to could change your life. It's done it for me. And something else that I would mention, like for some people are like, oh my gosh, like I can't go to these networkings. It's so hard. My area, my town. Create your own business mastermind meetup. We have done that. Jordan, you know I'm the queen of events. And sometimes if things are dry, in my area, I will create an experience, a business mastermind networking event at my med spa. Come on in. I will post it in the group and say, look, this is no charge. Just come in. If you want to be a vendor, it's going to cost you $50 for the table. People come, and that's going to give you control of your environment. If you're shy, you'll be in control now. So you're the one that's actually bringing people in, friends and family, and tell people, hey, this is what we're doing here. I'd love for you to come in. That makes it so easy. It takes out the fear because these are people that now you're accustomed to. This is your tribe. So it takes out the excuse of my town is hard and people don't like to connect, my area. So that's just a little tidbit that people can just create their own. If there's no door, build a door. I always say that.
Yeah. I love that. If you guys struggle with confidence, like type confidence in the chat. If you struggle with like getting yourself out there, like let us know, or ask if you have any questions for Chemo on like things that you feel could help you right now. Drop it in the chat so we can talk about it. But right now, like to recap the 0 to 10K mark, was there anything else that you really focused on or that you feel is important aside from networking, local Facebook groups, local events and meetups in your area, or connecting with influencers? Is there anything else that like really was a big focus point for you from getting from 0 to 10,000 a month?
Following up. The fortune is in the follow-up. We always say that. I have that written in my office, and you have to follow up with people, even if something piques their interest. Follow up with them, because if you're waiting, if you're sitting looking for paint to dry on the wall, you'll never get anywhere. You literally have to follow up with people if they like something, or if they say, hey, I'm interested. I still follow up with people a year ago and they come in. They're like, oh my gosh, you still remember me? I might have forgotten them. I might have gotten overwhelmed with bookings and appointments. And I'm like, oh, my apologies. I'd love to have you in, or I'd love to have a consultation with you. We can do a consultation right now. I make full use of my Facebook video chat. I do that all the time. Like, do you have 2 minutes to talk? That makes things much easier instead of like the back and forth conversation. I'll do a live chat in a second. If someone says, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, but I'm not sure, I'll say, can I call you right now? Video. Yeah. And that breaks the ice right away. Once they see you, you see them, makes it easy. 1, you're a real person. 2, it's organic conversation. And 3, you're able to actually, hopefully, close and book the appointment.
Yeah, that's huge. I think a lot of people will not even realize it, but have probably built a lot of relationships, or they've had people who have come to see them in the past. They've had people who have reached out in their inbox or whatnot, but a lot of us just like keep chasing the next rabbit rather than nurturing the audience or the ecosystem or the network that we've established, right? Follow-up is huge. Is there any practices that you focus on like consistently that help you with that keep it consistent? Because I think that's a big thing. Anyone could go today and like, oh, I got to follow up with those people in my inbox, or hey, let me go touch base with my clients this week. But I think where most people struggle is the consistency in which they do it on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So is there anything that is this just a habit you adopt on a daily basis? Is there any strategy in particular that you like to focus on, or what's your main focus when it comes to the follow-up?
My main focus is the daily power activities. That's actually another column that we added. Follow-ups must be done. And this is before I go to bed. So I go to bed somewhere around midnight. And power activities must be done every single day, booking that 1 appointment, at least, that's the minimum, per day. That really helps. And following up with every person, even if it's not a phone call, it's a text message. We still follow up with each and every single customer just to make sure we close the loop for the end of the day, because the next day is a new day. And you don't want to have follow-ups from Monday go all the way into Friday. It gets really overwhelming. So we try to follow up with everyone. Like Saturday's appointments, we've already started following up with them already this morning in between our appointments right now. So that makes a difference. And it also helps. So for people who rush out and didn't rebook before they left, it's a great way to get them back in. I usually do a check-in or temperature check with my customers anyway, weekly, and say, hey, I don't want anything, just checking in on you to see how you're doing. Hope you're having a great day. Spring is coming. Just wanting to say hi.
Yeah.
Those are one of my classic lines for people. Like if things are slow and to get that quick injection into the business, that's literally how we do it. The game changer for me was, and I'm fast forwarding right now from the 10K to the 25K, was I listened to you. We had a conversation in December, and we were revamping Chemo Bentley. We were having some staffing issues, and I literally was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen to Jordan wholeheartedly and tighten my belt, and I am going to downsize the business and take away the hiring portion of the business and not hire for a little while, focus on what's bringing in the most revenue, which is laser hair removal. We spoke about 22 appointments a month and looking into that financing. And that's literally what I did. And the first week in March, I must say, I made 10K in a week. I've never done that before. And that was like packages. And it was so easy. It was super easy. And that to me was like amazing that I was able to do that and more. But just sometimes just trusting your gut, because you know when something does not feel right and you're still trying to hold on to it. And that's what I think I was trying to do. Yeah. And I liked what you said a couple months ago with the SPA, service product accountability. And I keep that at the front of my desk. So everything that I do besides the revenue generating activities, I keep SPA, service product accountability in front of me. And that's literally what helps me through my day. What's the accountability? What's the product? What's the service? What is this person coming in here for? Like, what is their need? Not me trying to sell them the service, but sell them more the experience. Yeah. So that's how we have been able to do the amazing things that we've been doing.
I love that. That actually segues us right to like from the 0 to 10, the 10 to 25. I just wrote down some awesome notes. I do, to close the loop on 0 to 10K or your first or next 10K. If you want to make your first or next 10K right now per month, type 10K down below in the chat. The pattern that I've heard is like the first 10K or next 10K is just getting yourself out there, starting conversations, local Facebook groups, local events, meetups, reaching out to potential influencers, joining groups, like following up with the conversations you're starting or the clients that you do have, and just like focusing on like power activities, revenue generating activities, as you just mentioned. Interesting that like, as you started to mention your transition to, you know, if I was going from 10 to 25 or more than that, your highest number has been 38K per month. That you mentioned like downsizing and focusing on the highest revenue offers, kind of trimming the fat out of the business and the things that like not trying to be everything to anyone, but focusing on the things that really move the needle the most. Focusing on packages, consultations, like going from more of a getting clients focus to like kind of making my clients worth the most and kind of getting more with less, right? So that's awesome. So as far as packaging, if you like, how do you go about doing your packaging model right now? How does that work?
So we definitely do a consultation. I have actually two ways. I have a virtual consultation, and then we have what we call the inbox consultation, where we ask a bunch of questions and then we just narrow everything down so that when they come in, it's just to do the service. And then we have the in-person. Those three ways has been the most successful to us, because we ask those questions like, what made you reach out, and how long have you been struggling with this, and if money wasn't an object and you could change one thing, what would it be? That's what we usually ask. And we have people, I hate to say it, but they're begging for us to give them what we have to offer because of that, because we're asking all these questions and they're seeing it as an emergency that they have to get this done. So it makes it easier in terms of that accountability piece. So I always tell people, okay, so this is your homework and this is my work that we do in the office. So the homework for you is the accountability piece, and what we do in the office is my work. So when they have a package, that's the biggest accountability that they can have, by committing to a package. And I tell them, I'm committed to you just as you're committed to me with this package. So here's what you're going to expect. And I think I'm not sure if I shared this with you guys. I have a sheet. It says prescription for beauty. And that sheet literally gives them everything on there, whether it's products they're using, service, experience, and they go home with that. So they're able to see what their next steps look like on paper. And
That's
it makes it much easier, one, to even get them to buy a second package, or two, to get them transitioning into another product in the service in the facility.
Love
when
that.
they see things on paper.
What's the most expensive package or thing that you've sold to date?
You mean today?
Just in all time, like the most.
Laser hair removal. We sold a package for around $8,000.
That's incredible. $8,000. So
yeah, full body.
I mean, from my synopsis of hearing you and a lot of other people we've talked to recently who are at, that they've already passed 10, 25, 50, like they're going on to the next phase and level, like depending on where they're at. Like it sounds like just making the offer is like the biggest piece, right? Like I think a lot of people get stuck on trying to like put together the perfect package, or like, just spend all this time in the preparation rather than just going out and making the offers, taking the action, getting the feedback, and keeping moving forward. Like, what would you advise or recommend to someone who's like thinking about doing package treatments, knows the benefits of it, which is getting paid a hell of a lot more up front than a one-off visit? Like, even if it's 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, like making those offers, even if some people like say no or can't afford it, that's fine. The people who can and want that will literally skyrocket your top line very quickly. But I feel like a lot of people just like, we even saw some of it on our coaching call this morning together, right? Like there's some people who just like are in this analysis by paralysis kind of phase. So what would you recommend to someone who like is looking to increase their prices, put together packaging, bundles, series of treatments, and like raise their average ticket value?
Okay, so I broke that down into three simple things. I would say create more value within the package. What I mean by value is not like, okay, this is what this costs, but create a whole inclusive experience. That's the value that I'm talking about. Besides the service and what it costs, create almost like a movement. So Chemo Bentley laser hair removal package comes with perks. You have insider points. You have access to some of our influencers if you want to be tagged in certain things. You have Chemo Bentley bucks. Like, get really creative, because we have these things. Like, we have like Chemo Bentley money. Yeah. So whenever someone buys a package, they have Chemo Bentley bucks and they can spend it on whatever they want in the store. They look forward to things like that. So that's part of the value that I'm talking about. The second thing is to make sure that they understand what the commitment is, or the accountability piece. You're in a relationship. So share what a relationship is. Like, I ask people, I'm like, okay, what does this relationship mean to you? Because I am gonna commit my heart and soul into getting rid of your hair, for instance. And they'll laugh, they'll chuckle, because I'm very crazy in my consultations, but this is what gets people going. And I'm like, just the same way you're in a relationship with your significant other, we are now in a relationship, and here's how we are going to treat our relationship. You will not cancel last minute. You will not, and they're cracking up all of this time when I'm laying down the law from my side. I ask them, I'm like, what are you requiring of me in this relationship? So they will tell me stuff like, oh, well, I don't want things to hurt, or I don't want anyone else to do my treatment, or basic things like that. And that's the accountability piece. So once they understand that, the third step is going to be selling the destination. Oh my God, what will it look like to be hair free? In the summertime, I always wear these tube tops because I have no hair under my arms. So all day long, I'm like, oh my God, do you guys see this? Check this out. Look at this. This is what it's like. This is the end of your destination.
Yeah.
And I sell that to them and they're like, okay, sign me up. I want this. I'm ready for it. And once you sell that destination, they are ready to commit. They're open. You guys are on the same page relationship wise. And that's it.
I love that.
It makes it easy. Don't
Yeah.
go into the prices and
No,
all the
yeah.
crazy stuff. It just makes things more difficult, and then you get more questions asked, and then
Yeah.
you get to that uncomfortable spot where you're stuck and you don't know what to say. Keep it
Yeah.
light and fun.
Well, you're that confidence and conviction that like, this is what we're going to do. Here's what I recommend based on what we talked about today. Like, you know, here's how things are going to go as you become a client with us. Like that all just, again, comes back to the confidence and conviction and you taking what we call, you know, the doctor frame, like prescribing someone what they need, not what they think they want, and being the leader for your clients, creating, as you said, kind of like a movement, a community through your work. I think is huge. So this is awesome, Chemo. We covered like so many bullet points that anyone who watches this, like there's so many people who just like listen in and never freaking do anything about it. There's so many things that we talked about today that could be immediately taken action on. We talked about like getting clients as far as joining groups, local events, influencer strategies. You also mentioned the PR, branding, TV side of things. Let's plan on in the if you guys type hashtag chemo down below, we will do a full breakdown at some point here in the near future, showing how chemo's like reaching out to these influencers, getting on TV. How many times have you been on TV?
Oh my God, like over 10 now?
Over 10 times. And like, how many influencers do you think you've worked with?
Maybe about eight, eight so far.
So like, and the, even that, like, that may not seem like
So
a,
even that, it has gone global. So we also
yeah,
have Selena Johnson, who worked with Kanye West on that song "All Falls Down."
yeah.
She So we did a I'm a
That's,
horrible singer, but we also private label for her right now, and she
that's
started off
awesome.
as an influencer. So I mean, it works. It works. You just have to talk to people and just remember it's two things they can say, yes or no.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I've gotten tons of no's, but it only took that one yes for it to change
Yeah.
the entire way that I do business and my entire life. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sitting in this building because of RBB, because of the strategies that I learned here. I'm sitting in a space that is going to be a school. We're going to have a grand opening and build even more connections because of that. And I didn't dream of getting my own space this quickly. And it's a whole brand new building. So, you
That's
know,
awesome.
that's just with make the post, guys. You know, I can't say more. I wish we had more time, but I really want you guys to just make that post and follow up with people, because that's what I did. And that's what I still do up till this day.
Mhm.
I still post, I still follow up with people, I still comment on other people's posts. Those are things that I don't think that would ever leave my spirit, because I want to do great things and help as many people as possible.
I love that. The give mentality, the giver's gain, right? Like that's, it all comes back to the roots of the problem, right? Like everyone knows the things they probably should be doing. And if you watched any of these interviews in this group, if you've seen any of our content, if you've been in any of our programs, you know what the heck to do. You're just either not doing it or not doing it at the right quantity or quality of the efforts that you're doing. And like, I think a lot of the root problem is it comes back to that first thing we really dive deep into, which is like the confidence and being willing to build that confidence and get out of your comfort zone, and just the like in your heart, soul, and bones, which I can feel every time I talk to you, Chemo, the love and passion and desire to help others. And if you have those two things and then you pair that up with the tactics, the strategies, and then just do it consistently, like that, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Like that's everyone I've talked to who's doing 10, 25, 50, 100 grand, you know, per month, some millions of dollars a year. It seems like the same patterns of just like do the thing, build your confidence, be consistent, and like get out of your own way. Right. So, Chemo, as we kind of wrap up here, like going back to where we started, you know, mentioning this earlier, if you were to talk right now to the screen to, Chemo back in 23 years ago, first getting into the industry, what would you maybe recommend after hitting your best month of 38K per month? Like, what would you advise or recommend to former Chemo in what could maybe motivate, inspire her, or help her get to that same amount of level in maybe even a fraction of the time?
I would say start more conversations. I would say talk to more people. I think that has been the most valuable asset that I could have learned, the most valuable skill. I would encourage people to talk to as many people as possible. Another strategy that I tend to do is I try to talk to 5 new people a day,
Hmm.
random people, just to see if I can get my business out there. And it's funny. Sometimes someone would talk to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I saw you on Fox." And I'm like, "Hi." So
Yeah.
it does catch me off guard, but I try my best to talk to at least 5 people, 5 new people, not people that I know,
Yeah.
even if it's complimenting them or saying something kind. That's how you build confidence. And that's how you get your reps in terms of practicing, because there is going to come a time where you're going to be live, like I am live right now, and you may be scared to death, and there are no mess ups. Live is live. So whatever is here forever. So you want to continue to build your confidence. You want to be able to continue to build relationships, let people see who you are through the screen, and hopefully that would catapult them into doing what they've been holding back on doing. My
Yeah.
classic line is, what's holding you back? What's holding you guys back right now? Put it in the chat, as Jordan always says, what's holding you back?
What's holding you back? Let's hear it right now. What's holding you back? Drop it in the chat. Chemo, this is awesome. We talked about getting clients. We talked about a multitude of ways to do it. We talked about packaging. We talked about confidence. We talked about, honestly, every area that could get anyone getting growing right now, if they choose to do so. So my final question for you today, and for all those who drop hashtag chemo down below, you and I can work on putting together a behind the scenes class, maybe some mini master classes on the particular topics we talked about, like doing a laser deep dive into influencer strategies and marketing and outreach, doing a laser deep dive into PR, branding, getting on TV, and like getting like on big PR platforms that can get you in front of not just 1, 10 people, but hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. If you guys type hashtag chemo down below in the chat, we'll get that over to you for the invitation. But Chemo, final question I have for you is like, what would you advise or recommend to someone who's maybe watching this right now and like wants the results that you've been able to get so badly? They want to get to that first 10,000 a month, 25,000 a month. For you, highest number to date, $38,000 in a single month, but they're struggling right now. They're struggling with the confidence. They're struggling with the certainty. They're struggling with implementing the strategy. Like they're just kind of like stuck right now. What would you recommend in terms of motivation, words of wisdom, encouragement for those who may be watching?
I would tell that person to stand on the shoulders of giants until you become one yourself. That's the biggest thing that I would say. Stand on the shoulders of giants until you become one yourself. And that simply means that let us continue to pour into you all of the value, all of the knowledge. Be receptive to that information. You could be an esthetician, a hairdresser, or just lash tech for 30, 40, 50 years, but take this program or take what we're trying to teach you as something brand new. Get that childlike curiosity going and just embrace it, because that's what I've done. I didn't come in this program cocky, like, oh, I know all of this, I don't need this. No, I was hungry like the first day I became an esthetician. And that's what I need for you guys to do. Continue to be hungry and absorb and learn. That's why I'm still on the calls. This is how many years later, Jordan? I still go on the calls.
Yeah.
I
You were
still
there this
learn.
morning.
Yeah.
And how many people have we seen come and go? How many people have we seen get started and then never finish? How many, like that's the problem with the industry right now, is the standards are low. If you look around at what everyone else is doing, everyone else is broke. Everyone else is struggling. Everyone else is barely getting by right now. Video. Oh, there we go. I'm back. Like everyone else is struggling. If you look around and try to do what everyone else is doing, like you're going to get the same results, which not many of us talk to everyone who's like in the industry, at least, who can confidently say like, I'm taking home 6 or 7 figures in the industry. Like I'm blowing up my business right now. Like most people are struggling. If you keep doing what other people are doing who are not at that same level, you're going to continue to get the same results. And I love that quote you just mentioned. I dropped in the chat. Stand on the shoulders of giants until you become one yourself. Like we all start somewhere, and like we all need to find someone or something or some community that we can lean into that can help like get us that momentum. And like, you know, that's what, you know, we try to do here. It's what you try to do. Like give, and you will receive, but you've got to show up for yourself consistently if you're ever going to get any progress. Right. So I love all that. Any final notes, Chemo, you think will be important for today?
We're good over here. Everyone knows how to reach me. I'm always in the group. Try to post, keep practicing. So post in our local community. That's an easy way to build confidence as well. If you can post in the group at least one time a day, just post something, and that's how you build your confidence so that you can post in the other groups.
I love it. Well, guys, if y'all got a ton of value out of today, drop a ton of hearts for Chemo. Me and her will be chatting here in the near future to put together some resources that may be the most helpful for you guys to get you that momentum in your business or your life. But what I would advise is like, you're in an amazing community right now. Like there's interviews here every week. There's free courses and trainings that are inside this community every single day and week to attend. Like we have an abundance of resources for you guys to use. And like, we want you guys to win, but you've got to show up for yourself, right? And so, Chemo, I really do appreciate you coming on multiple times now to share your journey and story. And I'm looking forward to going a little bit deeper and doing some more fun stuff together. So thank you for being here. We'll talk soon. Everyone who is here today, give a big thank you to Chemo, and we will all chat with you guys soon. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for having me.
Chemo. See you later.